Some of you are comfortable, way too comfortable, disgustingly comfortable, and quite frankly, it's killing you. And you don't even know it, not yet anyway. Comfort was killing me too. You see, we've been lied to. We've been deceived to believe that perpetual comfort is the goal of life, but it's not. We've been deceived to believe that we're most happy when we're always in our comfort zone, but we're not. Too much comfort is killing us, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And on this episode of the GRIZ Podcast, you're going to see the benefits of getting out of your comfort zone as we dig into Michael Easter's best-selling book, The Comfort Crisis, and also dig into God's best-selling book, the Bible. Both of those books reveal the amazing benefits of doing hard things, of facing pain, hardship, fear, depression, loneliness, rejection, loss, etc. So here we go.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the GRIZ Podcast. We're here to guide, encourage, and equip you on your journey with Christ. Now, here's your host, the 80s karaoke legend, Jason George.
Drop! Yo, what's going down on my brothers from other mothers around the world? Thank you for taking time to tune in and listen to the GRIZ Podcast. That's right. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2025, when I'm recording this. So Happy New Year to you. It's the first time the GRIZ is coming at you in 2025. Anyway, let's get right into it. Michael Easter is an author of one of my favorite books entitled The Comfort Crisis, with a subtitle, Embrace Discomfort to Reclaim Your Wild, Happy, Healthy Self. It's one of the best books I read back in 2023, and I'm rereading it in 2025. I recently did a purge of most of my books to Goodwill because I moved to a smaller place and I needed to downsize. But The Comfort Crisis is not a book that I purged. That one is a keeper for sure. Anyway, Easter has a very interesting life story to tell. He was like a lot of American men, living a comfortable life that was essentially spiraling downward. And he says that alcohol was his main comfort blanket. Alcohol was his Snuggie. You know what I'm saying? Remember Snuggies? Anyway, nearly everything in his life, he says, involved alcohol. He used it to kill the stress around his job, to alleviate boredom, and to avoid any uncomfortable insecurities, situations, thoughts, and emotions that are just part of being human. It sounds like some of the guys I work with. It's easy to do, my brothers. Then, one hungover day after a drinking binge, Easter says he had a wake-up call. He realized that comfort from alcohol was not only numbing him to the life he wanted, but it was also killing him. And he says he saw a crossroad before him. Option one was do nothing, just keep clinging to complacency and the numbing lifestyle that would ultimately end badly, but allow him to keep drinking booze. Or option two, get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable by completely ditching his liquid comfort blanket. And he says he was terrified of where this second route might take him. But he says he finally raised the white flag, and of course, that is when the discomfort began. Some of you listening, like me, know all about the discomfort that comes when you sober up, whether it be from alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, whatever. I tell guys I work with in recovery, just know that to get better, you will initially feel worse. Withdrawal is a female dog, you know what I'm saying? But the only way out is through. The only way out is through the discomfort. The intensity of the discomfort won't last. It's just for a season. Anyway, Easter goes on to say that for him, the acute physical hell of drying out from alcohol lasted for days. He dealt with headaches, nausea, exhaustion, the shakes, the sweats, and other internal hells. He said his lungs began kicking up some sort of carcinogen cocktail because he had a habit of chasing down all his alcoholic drinks with Marlboro cigarettes. Eventually, his physical withdrawal stuff faded, but then an even bigger challenge of sobriety started. He said he experienced a high-grade state of mania and bounced from joy that he was alive to depression, to terrifying question after question about his new way of life. Like, how do I not drink? What do I do on weekends? What should I say if I'm at a social event and someone asks me if I want to drink? How will I reconnect with my old friends at college reunions and weddings? Essentially, he didn't know who he was anymore or how to live without alcohol. And that's a scary place to be for a man. Some of you listening have feared the same thing. Maybe not with giving up alcohol, but maybe it's with giving up a relationship that you know is toxic, or with giving up porn, or with giving up unhealthy foods. We have so many different things that we turn to for comfort that are actually killing us. But day by day, Easter says he embraced what he calls the raw discomfort of hard change. And he said that soon the world opened up. The world opened up. Aha. You see? The discomfort passes, my brothers. It's always darkest just before dawn. No pain, no gain. You have to go through some discomfort for the breakthrough to occur. Listen to what then happened to him. He says he soon became aware of the beauty of being alive and says he better understood his role in the world. Before sobriety, he said everything seemed to indicate that he was the absolute center of the universe. However, when he dried out, he says he realized that he's just not that damn important in the grand scheme of things. He said that was a deeply unnerving recognition. But once he started to act on it, admitting that he doesn't know everything and that he could use some help from others, he gained some peace and perspective. I love that. What a significant realization for all of us to make. When Easter sobered up, he realized he wasn't the center of the universe, he didn't know everything, and that he could use some help from others. And that began to bring him peace and perspective. He says once he got through the discomfort of sobriety, he began connecting with people whom he loved in new and deeper ways. He started to enjoy silence, experience calm, and feel okay with himself. To get out of himself, he also got a dog, and each morning took him to a nearby river where he felt a long-forgotten peace and confidence in the 5 a.m. quiet and mist. He says he also became less flustered by everyday problems like work drama, traffic jams, deadlines, and bills. He said he also took a hard look at his everyday life and he realized that he was comfortable, too comfortable. He said quite literally every single moment of his day, he was disgustingly comfortable. I like that phrase, disgustingly comfortable. On the last episode of the GRIZ Podcast, episode 260, I talked to you guys about becoming a disciplined man and how, as a society, we are obsessed with constantly being comfortable all the time. And I said that I don't believe there's anything wrong with times of comfort. We all need those times. But I believe our obsession with comfort is killing us. I also said that comfort should be like an island that we visit, not a place we constantly live. Anyway, Easter goes on to describe his disgustingly comfortable life, how he awoke in a soft bed in a temperature-controlled home, then commuted to work in a pickup truck with all the conveniences of a luxury sedan. And he says he killed any second of boredom with his smartphone. And then at work, he sat in an ergonomic desk chair, staring at a screen all day, working with his mind and not his body. When he arrived home from work, he filled his face with no effort with high caloric foods that came from Lord knows where. Then he plopped down on his overstuffed sofa to binge on television streamed down from outer space. He said he rarely, if ever, allowed himself to feel the slightest sensation of discomfort. In fact, the most physically uncomfortable thing he did was exercise, but he said that was done inside an air-conditioned building where he watched cable news channels that were increasingly bent on confirming his worldview rather than challenging it. He also said he wouldn't go for a run outside unless the conditions were comfortable, neither too hot, too cold, nor too wet. If it wasn't quote unquote comfortable outside, then he didn't run outside. And all of this comfortable living began to bother him. Man, when I read all of this in his book, The Comfort Crisis, I thought to myself, this dude just described me, my life. This dude just described most of our lives. You guys know it's true. Just like Easter, most of us are living disgustingly comfortable lives. We avoid hard things, and it's killing us. So Easter began to wonder, what would cleansing himself of all these comforts do for him? What a great question. What would cleansing himself of all these comforts do for him? Let me ask you, what would cleansing your life of many of your comforts do for you? This is how he begins his book, The Comfort Crisis. And the book is so thought-provoking. It really made me examine my life. As I said, I'm reading it again in 2025. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend putting it on your reading list for 2025. Get the audiobook and listen to it on your commute to and from work. I believe it will challenge you, but also motivate you to make some positive changes in your life that are really going to benefit you as a man. In this book, Easter is asking some of the exact same questions that I've been asking myself the last few years. Like, why are we so hell-bent on being comfortable all the time? Many of us live as if comfort is the whole goal of life, and it's not. Think about it. Is being comfortable really all it advertises to be? Like, I realize that we need doses of comfort to survive, but too many of us are drunk with comfort, and it's killing us. Easter points out how our American obsession with perpetual comfort is contributing to problems like obesity, heart disease, cancers, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and even just that overall feeling of lacking meaning and purpose in our lives. He is spot on, guys. Listen to me. As much as we crave comfort, we need to know that living a comfortable life will not lead us to a meaningful and purposeful life that impacts others. Let me say that again. We need to know that living a comfortable life will not lead us to a meaningful and purposeful life that impacts others. Think about it. Nobody wants to read the biographies or watch the documentaries of men or women who lived comfortable lives. There's nothing appealing about that. We love to see and hear about the men who went through uncomfortable times to achieve greatness. We want to see the blood, sweat, and tears, the grind, the betrayal, the injustice, the opposition, the resistance, the loss, the grief, the agony, and see that man or woman still rise up and overcome. Those are the epic stories that we are drawn to, not men or women who live comfortable lives. The hard truth that Easter discovers that we don't like to hear is that being uncomfortable is actually extremely beneficial to our well-being. It doesn't feel beneficial in the short term, but doing hard things, going through painful trials, proves to be extremely beneficial to us in the long term, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And here's the main truth that I want all of us to get. Here is the big takeaway for this episode. You ready for this? Your comfort zone is killing you. Your comfort zone is killing you, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Your comfort zone is killing you. You see, your personal growth begins where comfort ends. Your real life begins where comfort ends. This is true physically, mentally, and spiritually. Listen, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing good and meaningful ever grows there. Nothing that truly impacts the lives of others comes from a comfort zone. Think about what a caterpillar goes through within a cocoon to become a beautiful butterfly with wings that can fly wherever it wants. That's not a pleasant process inside that cocoon, nor is it a pleasant process to leave the cocoon. I read that it's a process full of discomfort, struggle, pain. The metamorphosis is full of discomfort, struggle, and pain. Even though insects don't experience pain in the same way humans do, this painful struggle that the butterfly goes through is crucial for it to develop strong enough wings necessary for flight. So every time you see a butterfly, you need to know that guy was once a caterpillar who paid the price, who abandoned its comfortable caterpillar life with all his caterpillar friends and embraced discomfort, struggle, and pain to become something far better, to become a completely new creation that can fly. A big part of me loves to be comfortable, just like you do. But I've begun to see how too much of it is not good for me. I need discomfort. I need to do hard things every single day. I need to embrace the suck that life throws at me because there's so many good things that can come from it. In 2024, I didn't have to go looking for discomfort, struggle, and pain. It came to me. As I told you guys in a recent episode, 2024 was without question the hardest year of my entire life. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, relationally. But as much as it sucked, it's also been good for me because it's been a major wake-up call to see the truth about myself, life, people, family, friendships, money, possessions, priorities. And I've had to continually remind myself what I'm telling you guys. Your comfort zone is killing you, Jason. Your personal growth begins where comfort ends. The path to real life begins where comfort ends. God already knows this about us, and this is why He often allows us to go through trials, hardships, suffering, heartbreak, etc., because it shapes us and makes us into something better if we allow it to. James 1 verses 2 through 4 says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." You see, right there, we learned that God allows the hard times, the discomfort, the pain, the grief. Why? To test our faith in Him and to make us more like His Son. He knows that our comfort zone will not make us more like His Son. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 7 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to His great mercy, He has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you rejoice, though now, for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So right there, what do we learn? As believers in Christ, we have this incredible inheritance waiting for us in heaven that we will enjoy after we physically die. But in the meantime, while we are still down here on earth, climbing the narrow trail, we often feel grief because of the various trials that we go through in this life. In case you don't know, grief doesn't feel good. Grief comes when we lose a person or a pet or something else that we love. And the greater the love you have for that person, that pet, or that thing, the greater the grief will feel. I know grief well. I know what it's like to lose the people I love the most. I know what it's like to lose the pet I love the most. I know what it's like to lose material things I love the most. I know grief well. And why does God allow us to be grieved by various trials? What does it say? To test the genuineness of our faith, to put it through the fire, like gold is put through the fire, in order to purge, purify, and shape that piece of gold into what He wants it to be. Because this, He says, is what will ultimately bring praise, glory, and honor to His Son, Jesus Christ. You know, God's number one concern for us is not our comfort. God's number one concern for us, His children, is to purge, purify, and shape us into what He wants us to be. And this is to become more like His Son. That's who He wants us to become, to be. And you can't become more like His Son by just reading your Bible, praying, going to church, memorizing scripture, getting an accountability partner. Those things are all important. They're part of the process. But to become more like his son, he has to take you out of your comfort zone. He has to make you uncomfortable. You have to hurt, grieve, agonize. All these Christians talk about wanting to be more like Jesus, to which I say, do you really? Do you really want to be more like Jesus? Do you mean that when you say it? Do you really want to have Christ-like character? If the answer is yes, I really want that, then prepare to be uncomfortable. Prepare to suffer. Prepare to go through all sorts of uncomfortable things like ridicule, false accusations, betrayal, loss, sorrow, grief. Isaiah 53 verse 3 says this about God's Son. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Did you hear that? Did you hear that description of Jesus? The one you want to be like, right? Despised, rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. So do you really want to be more like Jesus? If you do, then prepare to leave your comfort zone and get you some of that. Prepare to get comfortable being uncomfortable. My brothers, you don't become a great man of God or a great woman of God, for the ladies that are listening, because I'm finding out more and more ladies are listening to the GRIZ. You don't become a great man or woman of God without suffering. This is why I tell the guys I coach in climb teams to do hard things every day. Every day, get used to discomfort. Embrace the suck, because life is eventually going to slam you flat on your back. Life is hard. Life is unfair, and being human often hurts. And God allows this in our Christian lives to test our faith and to purge, purify, and shape us into what he wants us to be, like gold in the fire. Anyway, back to The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. Something else that's interesting that I learned from him is that comfort is actually a new thing for us as humans. He explains how modern comforts and conveniences that influence our daily experience, like cars, computer, television, climate control, smartphones, ultra-processed food, and more, those things have only been used by humans for about 100 years or less. He makes the reader think about our ancient ancestors' lives and how they were constantly living with discomfort. Think about it. Unlike most of us living in the modern world, our ancient ancestors were constantly exposed to the elements. It was either too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, too windy, or too snowy out. And guess what? It didn't freaking matter, man. They were forced to go out and face it. They had to deal with it, all of it. They didn't have a choice. And the only temporary escape they had from the weather was some sort of makeshift shelter, some cold, damp cave or tent filled with bats or rats or mice or all of the above. And man, look at us now. Look at what we live in now. Most of us are living in our comfortable homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of us living in homes worth millions of dollars. And then some even with $1 million getaway condos at the beach or $1 million getaway cabins at the lake or in the mountains. As if having your $1 million home is not sufficient, right? When you really step back and look at the big picture of life and eternity, it's insane when you look at us today in America, most of us. And here's a question to ask yourselves. Are we really any happier from it? Are marriages or families any better off because of all our expensive creature comforts? Does more money and more stuff really do it for us? These are hard questions that I've had to ask myself over the last year. And for me, the answer is a big, fat no. More money, more stuff, bigger house, more creature comforts. It hasn't made life better or happier for me, for my marriage, or for my family. In fact, in my experience, those things can make things worse because you lose focus of what matters most in life. Easter goes on to say that nowadays, most of us live at 72 degrees, experiencing any kind of uncomfortable weather only during the 2 minutes it takes us to walk across a parking lot to our vehicle or from the subway station to our offices. He says Americans now spend 93% of our time indoors in climate control, and entire cities wouldn't even exist had we not developed air conditioning. He says, think of Phoenix and Las Vegas. Dude, if there was no air conditioning there, no one would freaking live there, man. It's just too hot. It's nothing but scorching desert. He also reminds us that our ancient ancestors were often hungry because there wasn't an excess of food at the ready like there is today in our country. For the most part, our ancient ancestors were hunter-gatherers who continually experienced deep and persistent hunger, and the only way to relieve that was to be uncomfortable. To get your ass up, go outside in the elements and hunt or fish. There wasn't any other option. They had no pantry or refrigerator full of food, no grocery stores. They couldn't order DoorDash with the push of a button on their smartphones. Think about what was required for them to have a meal. Dude, they often had to walk miles just to get drinking water. We get inconvenienced when we have to walk downstairs to the filtered water on our fridge door, right? They also had to walk miles to hunt down an animal, kill it, cut it up, and pack it back home to the family. And then they had to prepare a place to cook it and prepare another place to preserve the rest of the meat. And if they weren't hunting animals or fishing, then they were digging in the ground for something edible to eat or trying to find like trees that provided some sort of edible fruit or nuts. The point he's getting at is that back in the day, there was a whole lot of discomfort going on for our ancient ancestors. And that seems like a bad thing, right? But was it really? Let me grab a sip of my coffee. Was it really a bad thing? Because there's a whole lot of physical, mental, emotional, and family problems that we are plagued with in today's world that we don't see people dealing with back in the day. I'm not saying things were perfect before all the modern comforts and conveniences of the last 100 or 200 years. I'm saying that I believe many things were better for people, marriages, families, and societies without all the modern comforts and conveniences. That's just my opinion. You ever wonder why an increasing number of people, even college-educated people, are moving out into the rough country and homesteading with their family? They're intentionally embracing discomfort and hardships for a better life than the modern, comfortable matrix of a life that many of us are currently living in. Why on earth would someone college-educated with a good paying job leave their comfortable suburbia life to become a homesteader? You ready for this? Because living in perpetual comfort in suburbia is overrated. It doesn't provide the happiness that we think it will. There's something about doing hard things that's incredibly rewarding, satisfying, meaningful. Another interesting point that Easter brings up is that our ancient ancestors had to make something of their downtime of their boredom. They had to get creative and rely upon one another for entertainment. He reminds us that radio did not even come about until the 1920s. Then came TV in the 1950s. Then on June 29th, 2007, he says, boredom was pronounced dead thanks to the iPhone. And he says our imaginations in deep social connection also died with it. You know it's true. People no longer embrace silence, stillness, and boredom. I just combined stillness and boredom together. Stilldom. People don't. They don't embrace it. You see a group of people in an airport, nobody's talking to anybody. Everybody's got their face in their smartphone. The second thing, though, those things like stillness, silence, and boredom creep in, what do people do? They immediately begin scrolling on their phones. I feel bored. Things are quiet. Too quiet. No one's talking to me. I'm alone with my thoughts and I'm alone with my feelings and I don't like them. And we start scrolling. Why are silence, stillness, and boredom considered bad things? Someone may say, well, it's uncomfortable. But as we've been learning, many times what is uncomfortable in the moment is what's good for us in the long term. Think about that command in Scripture that says, be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. Psalm 46:10. Are we ever still? Seriously, are we ever still and silent? Are we ever contemplative anymore? If God were trying to speak to your heart and mind, could you even hear Him through all the noise and distractions in your life? Because with the internet and smartphones at the ready, there's so much freaking noise, audible and visual noise, so many distractions. We're addicted to it, man. And it's not good. When I do what Cal Newport calls quote unquote deep work, dude, I literally have to put my phone and computer on do not disturb. What do I mean by deep work? I'm talking about reading, thinking, writing, praying, meditating, recording podcasts, etc. I have to put everything on do not disturb. Listen to where our obsession with comfort has gotten us. You ready for this? This is going to sting a little. He says in The Comfort Crisis, 32% of Americans are overweight and 38% are in the obese category. That makes a collective 70% of us too heavy. Nearly a third of us now have diabetes or prediabetes. More than 40 million Americans have mobility problems that hinder them from getting from point A to point B. Heart disease kills a quarter of us. These are all medical issues that were essentially non-existent until the 20th century. Creature comforts crept in. People today are suffering more and more from diseases of despair, such as depression, anxiety, addiction, and suicide. Overdose deaths in the last 2 decades are up more than threefold, and the average American is more likely to kill themselves than ever before. As a result, the U.S. life expectancy rate has been falling steadily. Many of us lack any kind of physical struggle in our lives, like having to work hard for our livelihoods, and we have too many ways to numb out, like comfort food, cigarettes, alcohol, pills, smartphones, TV, social media, video games, porn. We are detached from real life things that make us feel happy and alive, like connection with other human beings, being outside in nature, and putting our body through some sort of strenuous effort to achieve a desired goal. He goes on to say that, and I quote, "Comfort and conveniences are great, but they haven't always moved the ball downfield in our most important metric, happy, healthful years. Perhaps existing only in our increasingly overly comfortable, overbuilt environment and always obeying our comfort drives has had unintended consequences and caused us to miss profound human experiences. There are conditions that humans evolved to live in and experiences we were meant to have that are no longer germane to our lives. This has undoubtedly changed us, often not for the best." End quote. Again, this is all coming from the book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. I'll put an Amazon link in the show notes. Great book. I highly recommend you read or listen to it. My brothers, get out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone will kill you. Do hard things every day. Some of you listening, like me, you don't have to look for hard things to do because God has already taken you way out of your comfort zone, and you're facing hard things daily. Whether it's physically, mentally, relationally, financially, maybe something with your spouse or one of your kids, you fill in the blank. He's brought some kind of major trial into your life that feels overwhelming, like it's going to break you. I understand that feeling. I know all about it. I have been there. So you listen to me. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't go do something stupid that will hurt you or others. Embrace the suck. Feel it. Sit with it. Even though you want to run. Even though you want to medicate it. Even though it's heavy and difficult and you don't know how you're going to get through it, listen to me. One day at a time. One day at a time. Focus on what matters most. Keep the faith. Wait on God. I know things may not make sense right now, but that's because we can't see the big picture of what God is doing. God has a plan. Your pain has a purpose. My pain has a purpose. I promise He's not trying to break you. He's trying to make you into something great. He wants to turn your tragedy into a triumph. He wants to turn your test into a testimony. He wants to turn your breakdown into a breakthrough. But it's hard. It's hard to see that and believe that when you're still in the fire. It is incredibly hard. There are no quick fixes for the caterpillar to become a beautiful butterfly. There are no hacks. There are no shortcuts. Joseph, from the book of Genesis, was in prison for 13 years, and it took over 20 years before he was finally reunited and reconciled with his family. And then, over 20 years later, God's plan made sense to him. It took over 20 years. No quick fixes, no hacks, no shortcuts there. As I said earlier, we love the stories of great men and women. But remember, they didn't become great living in their comfort zone. They left their comfort zone, or God orchestrated life to painfully uproot them out of their comfort zone. There are no great saints without great suffering. All of this that I'm teaching you, guys, like right here on this episode, is what God's been teaching me. I've been way out of my comfort zone, my brothers. I've shared some of what I've been going through on previous episodes, but I can't share all of it. It's too painful. Just know, I know pain. I know suffering. I know heartbreak. I know loss. I know grief. I'm still walking through it, but thankfully, most importantly, I know God and I know His promises. I know that no matter what I'm going through, He'll never leave me nor forsake me. Hebrews 13:5. I know that he's my shepherd and I shall not want. That means he will provide and protect me. Psalm 23:1. I know that he is for me and never against me. Romans 8:31. I know that I am more than a conqueror in him, and that means I win in the end. Romans 8:37. I know that nothing that's happening or will happen is ever going to separate me from the love of God. Romans 8:39. I know that what others mean for evil against me, God means it for good. Genesis 50:20. I know that for me to live is Christ, and if I die, it's gain. Philippians 1:21. I know that he can comfort and strengthen me through my hard days and give me a peace that surpasses all understanding because he's done that many times before. Because he is the God of all comfort. 2 Corinthians 1:3. He is the God who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13, and he is the God who gives peace that surpasses human understanding, Philippians 4:7. When I'm way out of my comfort zone, this is what I cling to, my brothers. His truth, his word, his promises. You need to do the same. Enough said for this episode. Few closing items of GRIZ Biz that I want to mention before we wrap up. Number one, wherever you are listening to the GRIZ Podcast, hit that subscribe button and also leave us a quick rating and review. If you listen on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up for this episode. Leave a comment. I will respond. Number two, share this episode with one friend who needs to hear it. Copy the link and send them a text. Number three, if you'd like to connect with me, I would love to hear from you. My email is in the show notes, jason@narrowtrail.com, jason@narrowtrail.com. Love hearing from our listeners. Number four, if you'd like to learn more about my ministry with one-on-one coaching for Christian men or about our online men's groups that I lead to help guys with their wounds and their addictions, aka climb teams, that's what they're called, then go to our website to learn more and fill out the online applications. Our website is narrowtrail.com. Number five, and lastly, if this podcast is a blessing to your life, be a blessing back to us by making a tax-exempt donation of any amount to our nonprofit ministry, Narrow Trail Ministries. We rely on the donations of listeners just like you to do what we do. Listen, dude, I don't care if you just give $25. That helps us do what we do. I purposefully don't run advertisements on this podcast with a bunch of affiliate programs because honestly, it's annoying and it kind of messes up the flow of everything. So if the GRIZ Podcast is a blessing to you, then stop being selfish and be a blessing back to our ministry financially by supporting us. You can do that on our give page of our website, narrowtrail.com, or you can take your phone and you can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 301-888-6860, 301-888-6860. Text the word GIVE. It'll send you a link to set that up with your credit or debit card. I promise it's safe, it's secure, it's easy. And you can cancel at any time if you set up like a monthly donation or something like that. Anyway, that's it for now, man. I hope this was beneficial to you, my brothers. I hope it lifts you up, encourages you, maybe punches you in the gut, gets you out of your comfort zone, man. GRIZ is out.